You better strike your best. That's right, Heisman pose. A little jazz fact for you. The Heisman Trophy is actually modeled off of an NYU football player. That's right, Ed Smith in 1934. We ain't serving up Ed Smith. We're serving up Gianni. Now, she was an NYU graduate who worked at the Heisman Trophy Awards as well as the Grammys. Learn about her story and her amazing journey. I hope you guys enjoy.
Do it! Great jazz call. Major decision, 14-4.
Here we have today, serving up, we have Gianni, an NYU graduate who worked on, presenting the Grammys and the Heisman Awards, and learn how she came from a small island to the biggest city in the world. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for having me, Ray. Nice to see you again.
Yes,
Outside the classroom.
Yeah, outside the classroom. Right, we were NYU classmates in sports management classes, and and a couple different professors, right? A couple different classes we had each other. We're partners for a couple projects.
Yep. That was interesting.
Yeah, and eventually you made the switch out of the sports, management department into the entertainment field and everything else, and even though they kind of do branch off each other. So can you talk about that switch a little bit? Just changing majors, was that midway through your college career?
Yeah, honestly, it was one of the hardest decisions I made in college just because sports has always been a part of my life. And I knew I always wanted to work in sports. Like, that's where my passion lies. And so I studied it. And then I, had a lot of conversations with people and looking at my dream jobs. And, I realized that, yes, I'm super interested in sports, but I'm super interested in entertainment as a whole, how music relates to sports, how advertising and media relates to sports. And, I was like, okay, well, what are my strengths? Like, I like to speak. I like to talk a lot. I wanted to be like the next Erin Andrews, that wasn't going to happen. But so then, I pivoted and realized that I wanted to work in entertainment and just understand the entire business of entertainment and then bring it back to sports. At the end of the day, that's where I want to be. That's where I want to end up. But it was a great transition because it opened up a lot of doors for me while still bridging my passion for sports. Doing those internships and I worked with NBC, like you said, that Heisman and Grammy. So quite fun stuff, but a hard switch for sure.
Yeah, you definitely packed that resume up. But they do go hand in hand, the entertainment, just the behind the scenes thing, producing the shows, whether it's, one of the big things that they talked about was, the producers of the NFL and everything and how important they were to the game. Just, putting it on TV, getting those camera angles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what was the biggest, if not, the biggest similarity between, the entertainment and the sports field?
I mean, they're very different, but they're very, I wouldn't say similar, more so they relate to each other and kind of almost need each other. Like you can't have a Super Bowl ad that, doesn't have the right music or, using sports celebrities and athletes as, the influencers and marketers towards these either songs or products or whatever. So I wouldn't say that, there's a major similarity versus a sort of bridge between the two. How do you make entertainment work with sports? And I mean, sports is entertainment, so they have to work hand in hand in all different realms. And that's why, understanding all those different parts of the business is super important if I wanted to go back and work in it versus going in and, working behind the scenes as a 23-year-old right off the bat. I feel like I'd almost be pigeonholing myself. So that's why, I wanted to branch out into other realms.
Yeah, and
going to NYU, it's kind of in your blood, huh? Your mother went to NYU and everything, huh?
The Reuben Hall for the first 2 months of my life. And then 20 years later, luckily did I know I'd be just down the block my freshman year. So yeah, definitely following someone in her footsteps. And now I'm working for, the same company she works for. Not related to sports, unfortunately, but we'll get there.
Right, right. And you also come from Guam, right? You lived there for
5 years.
5 years. So how was that like transition, from a small island and then you ended up moving to Jersey or moving to the city?
Actually, I don't think you knew this. I lived in South Florida for a long time, so that's why I'm a diehard Miami Heat fan. So yeah, I lived in Fort Lauderdale for a while, and then Jersey. So now I'm a Jersey girl, and then went back to New York. So, but now from all this, I'm back home for a little bit. God knows. But that
Yeah.
transition, going back to your question, from Guam. Yeah, I mean, I felt like, literally living the Moana dream. Like, it's a paradise. Like, life is slow, everything's chill, everyone's nice. And then you go to New York and you're kind of just thrown into the middle of like the wild, and you kind of have to fend for yourself. And honestly, that's probably why I like it so much, is like I'm constantly, personally developing in so many different areas, and academically, educationally, whatever. And now I can't get away from New York. Like I'll be here for however long. But it's nice to go back to Guam every now and then. It's my home. It'll always be a part of me, but there's something about the fast pacedness of New York that I crave.
Yeah, yeah. Was there any other schools that you're interested in, going into college?
So honestly, I want to say yes. Like I was really interested into like Duke. I was a Duke fan in like high school. But I visited NYU, and like that was my first school that I visited. And I went to their information session, and I was like, this is it. Like this is my school. Like actually I almost went to Penn State. I was like basically declared there. And that was the hard choice too, because I was like, I want the typical, sorority life where we go to football games like every weekend, tailgate, the whole lot. And then like NYU, no football team. Like what? And yeah, so I chose NYU, and I was like, it's okay, I can go to like professional games and whatnot. So that
Short
was
trip to
hard.
Rutgers, short train
Yeah,
rides to Rutgers football.
exactly. Yeah.
Huh.
That's one thing I'm like missed out on, I think. I mean, I'm sure you understand.
Oh yeah, 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 completely, completely. So you didn't play a sport at NYU. You're solely a student, right?
No,
Oh,
actually, I didn't play for any of the varsity teams because we didn't have a lacrosse. I was a lacrosse player in high school. We didn't have a lacrosse varsity team. We had a club team. So I joined the club team for a year, but yeah. And then I joined like a volleyball intramural abroad in Italy. So yeah, no, nothing like crazy, but it was something.
yeah. How was studying abroad? How was the academics differently? What did you get from that experience?
Academics weren't really a thing abroad.
Yeah,
Your academics were, figuring out where your next trip is going to be on the weekend. So I went to like 9 different countries and like 50 cities during my 4 months there. Incredible. Like I highly recommend, if like anyone's watching who's in college now, like it's an invaluable experience that you may never get ever again. So that was probably the highlight of college, I'd say.
studying abroad, just getting a
Yeah.
new sense of feel of a different area, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not like you're on vacation there, but you're actually in it and living in there. And I always thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, and I know I'm named after the, fellow Italian Gianni Versace, so kind of going back to my roots.
There you go, your roots for sure. Um, So knowing the sports industry, right? It's so competitive, and there's so many outlets you could do. What was something that you did during college, just to build up that so to say, street cred, or build up your resume, getting those opportunities to work at the Grammys and the Heisman trophies? What were some steps you took for that?
Yeah, that's a great question because there were a lot of steps, and I don't know, I'll probably miss a few. And it starts from really early on. You kind of have to hustle really early. I feel like a lot of mistakes that freshmen make is like, this is my freshman year, like let's party, let's do this and whatnot. And like, yes, I did that. But I also had my head on the straight and like, what are all the clubs I want to join? Join all of them, do any internship your freshman year and like just get as many experiences as you can, because these companies aren't going to be looking for, have you held a job for 3 years in college? No, they want to see that you've had these different experiences and now like understand what you want to do, and have all these different skill sets. And one big thing that I did, which is a little more specific, was I joined a business fraternity in NYU. I was debating whether or not to join a sorority or this, so hard choice there. But I don't regret it because I learned so many skills there that I would have not learned if I didn't do that. I'm into business now, but I wasn't a Stern major. So I was almost like lacking those technical skills that those people develop. But joining that fraternity like helped me with the interview process, helped me build my resume from the ground up, starting my first month at NYU, and then having those networks and relationships and continuing to like hone in on those and nurturing them, because you never know when you're going to need somebody, or when you can call up a connection to hook you up with whoever. And like that's how I got the Grammys I got with a professor at NYU. She was on the board of CMA, the Country Music Awards. She's like, because does anyone want to help out with the Grammys? And obviously raised my hand.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah. And like the funny part with that one was I was just supposed to be one of those people that like, escorts the guests going down the red carpet and like getting them their interviews and whatnot. And I ended up just pretending like I was someone important.
Fake
And
it till you make it.
I straight up walked down the red carpet and made it into the Grammys. So like, hush hush, but it's not that difficult.
You gotta take risks. That's what it's about.
Yeah, so that's a step, taking risks and just going for it. Like you're in your 20s, like now is the time to do all those things the smart way. So yeah, joining clubs, getting all those experiences and taking risks.
That's interesting. A business fraternity. I don't know if that's just an NYU thing. I know like a couple of wrestlers were in a business fraternity, and me being a hard-nosed wrestler, I was like, fraternity, Greek life, none of that. But it is very important, making those connections, I'm sure. So like the business fraternity was like guys and girls, and it was like
Yeah.
it was strictly, not the partying aspect, but it was the major thing was to getting opportunities for, your career.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm not saying like everyone join a business fraternity. Like you said, like your wrestling community, that's a community fraternity within itself, and those are the connections that you'll carry on, forever. Like Bruce, keeping in contact with Bruce and all those people, you never know when you'll need them down the road.
Yeah, so that's super important, especially for people that don't want to play a sport in college, and they're scrambling around. Oh, maybe I should join Greek life,
Yeah.
sorority, fraternity. There's
Yeah.
so many other options, right?
So many. Yeah, you just have to be resourceful and like figure out, what works for you, what's your path. And it's difficult to figure out as a freshman. So that's why like join as many as possible. And I was a part of so many different clubs my first year. And then when I went into senior year, I was only really a part of like 2 hardcore clubs. And you figure that out as you go on.
I like that. I like that. Join as many as you can.
Yeah.
That's what I tell a lot of the freshmen now in college. Like, do as much as you can. The answer to every question you don't ask is always a no. So go meet new people, find new passions, because a lot of things, a lot of passions that you may have, you might have not even found yet, right?
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
I'm sure you got interested in something probably didn't even know existed until you joined that club or something, right?
Yeah, no, literally what I'm doing right now, I didn't know was a job career for me prior to that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Especially, a lot of people come out of college, they don't know what they want to do. But like you said, in the sports field, entertainment field, there's so many branches that you could go off of.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so what before the whole, pandemic thing, what was your day to day? What were you doing and what was kind of like your title?
Yeah. So I'm currently a consultant for a firm called Ernst& Young. And I work on digital, large scale enterprise digital transformations. So, I go into a big company and look at the processes that are going on across the board, whether it's the marketing division, whether it's the finance, and we see, is there a way that we could automate what's going on in the business in order to save money for the company and increase the bottom line. So it's very technical than what I was doing in college. Like all the classes I took in college don't relate at all to what I'm doing now. You learn on the job. But what I really like about this career path for now is that every single day I'm working on new projects that make a huge difference in businesses and industries. And it's something super relevant. I love innovation. I love technology. So yeah. So my day to day was traveling Monday to Thursday to client site and then coming back to New York Friday. And yeah, that's what I'm doing now still, just not the traveling part.
Yeah, just the digitally part, huh?
Just
That's
the
that's pretty
part.
that's pretty interesting that you necessarily didn't use, what you learned in college. It was just more of like a on-site, on-job learning, and that's super important too. Even though you didn't use what you did, it was important to learn how to be coachable and use your resources, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where NYU prepares you for, a lot is because like you have to be mature right away. You're thrown into the real life. You don't live on a real campus. And like some classes did help me. I mean, I'm not saying not all of them. Like the ones that really helped me, and the ones that I still think about to this day was like my public speaking classes that got me out of my shell, and made me voice my opinions in a more cohesive way than I would have if I didn't. Or like I'm really into entrepreneurship and I took one Tisch class and it was entrepreneurship. And that taught me public speaking skills. It taught me the business behind like how all these startups are created. And that's super intriguing to me. So yeah.
Yeah, well, what's also cool about NYU is they make you have an internship. I remember I had an internship with Mario Mercado, shout out Patois, and he made me learn the entrepreneur lifestyle. We live that style, getting an invention, learning how to create a business, social media marketing, how to, human resources, talking to customers, talking to inventors, learning how to invest.
Yeah.
How important was those internships for
Oh
you?
my God, so important. So important. Those were the skills that I like still use to this day, and that's why it's like, have as many of those experiences, like we keep saying, like as many as possible. Cause like you learn how to talk to different people from different cultures, different people with different ranks. And there's a big, I don't know, you have a competitive advantage when you have those skills, especially in the career I'm in right now. A lot of people who don't do well in consulting are those that are have a very good resume and can do all these technical skills, but if you can't translate that in a conversation and talk about the different strategies that you've come up with, then how is anyone going to know what you're thinking? How are you going to help these businesses thrive? Yeah, so those internships are what helped me excel in what I'm doing right now. And I took everything, like I had to said, my public speaking, my entrepreneurship, my internships, and I joined our internal EY global, it's basically a Shark Tank competition where we get a big client and we have to propose a new business solution. And it was like 400 or 500 people or something like that. And ultimately my team won. And that came because We worked together as a team super well. We came up with an innovative solution and were able to communicate it and translate it well. That was received by the client. And so that was really, really cool. That bridged a lot of what I took from college.
Right. Yeah. And you being that, interested in entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur, you need to use resources, right?
Yeah.
That was a major thing I learned. Like, the guy that I was working for, Mario, it wasn't like he was, he had this product, but he didn't really know. He wasn't a master marketing, so he went to a marketing guy. He wasn't that great at digital or whatever. He went to a digital guy. And
Yeah.
that's super important to use all the branches, especially living in New York City. You can literally to hop and to skip away from someone that you need.
Yeah. My mom calls it having your own personal board of advisors. Who are you going to call when you have this big grandiose idea, this business idea? Who can you call that's going to give you that, honest critique that will take you to the next level? Or just whether you need just regular business advice. And yeah, I'm always writing down these business ideas and people who I've been in contact with. This is literally my notebook, my big notebook of big ideas.
Big ideas. Get yourself a big ideas notebook, everyone. Not like me. I just write notes down all the time. I'm really bad with it.
They're all big ideas.
No, there's a lot of good ideas, I'm sure if I combine them, they'll be big ideas, but
Oh, funny.
So your dream job, right, is to be a CMO for the NFL, huh?
That is correct. It's been my dream job forever now. Besides, after I threw away the Aaron Andrews one, yeah, that the next part I was like, let me be, that's my goal. And I made it. Yes, it is a reach, but it is something attainable because the way I crafted it was let me research previous CMOs in the NFL. What are they up to? What are they doing to not necessarily mirror what they're doing, but just, see if I'm on the right track, seeing if I'm developing the right skills in order to get this job. And what I found was, so the current CMO is Tim Ellis, and he came from Activision. I think he was a CMO of Activision. So entertainment, right? We're going into sports. And then the previous one from him was a girl, I forgot her name, Dawn, I believe, something like that. And she was a consultant at EY, literally what I'm doing. And so that's why I was like, okay, I think I'm on the right path of developing these skills and continuing to work to that path. But it's you have to learn so much and
Yeah.
We'll see.
But
that's
cool. You're putting yourself in their shoes already. Like you said, you're at a company in a position that someone that had that goal, already achieved that goal is doing, and that's important. And even for sports people, people still competing or outside, it's always important to look at those people's at a high level that you want to be in. Not saying, like you said, copy them, but find their techniques and their flaws. And that's super interesting that you pointed out. That's really interesting, especially career wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find that career that you want, see who has that position, see their tendencies, see what got them there, see the mistakes that they made so you could capitalize on it, right?
And actually, now that we're talking about it, I was in the middle of drafting a cold email to Tim Ellis himself to just say can we get a conversation going? I'm really interested in what you do. I just want to learn more, because those people get really scared about cold emailing and reaching out. But a lot of the times those higher up people will be the ones to reach out and say yeah, I have that time. Let's do it. You might be surprised. So just send 1,000 emails. If you get one back, that's a win.
There it is. All about this, all about getting in touch with people. Don't be afraid to get in touch with people and reach out. Like I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? They say no or they don't answer. Someone back another month.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's super important. So you're very entrepreneur now. What are some other things that you have going now with the whole pandemic and getting your steps up to that goal of CMO?
Yeah, so I'm working on a couple projects. I mean, I'm kind of doing all the mini projects I wanted to do when I was not in this current situation. So So I'm starting a blog, it's called, I haven't finalized anything yet, but it's going to be Miss Empire State of Mind. It's going to be stories in under a New York minute. And yeah, under my lens, being a female, wanting to go into a extremely competitive industry that's, male dominated, like what are the steps I'm taking? What's the mindset you need to have? So studying that blog, baking, a ton of stuff, making everyone in my house fat, but also, trying to work out. It's hard. I'm always in bulking season. So especially now it's hard because all my weights that I have here are like super light. So
Hey,
that's been hard. I'm just trying to eat as much as possible, which isn't that difficult.
Well, you're truly a boss lady right now. You're not letting this quarantine go to waste.
No, definitely not. Trying not to.
All right. So, any other projects you want to shout out? Like, for any listeners, follow her blog once you do release it. Where else could people find you or ask questions, slide in your DMs?
Oh God, no. I'm pretty active on Instagram. You could definitely follow me on there, but that's just an array of information and stuff about me. I don't know if that's necessarily business focused. But yeah, be on the lookout for the blog. That'll be a little more tailored. And then, yeah, those are the main projects right now. Work takes up a lot of hours. Like my job is literally 7 a.m. to, I think I was up to like 3 a.m. yesterday. So not much wiggle room for other projects, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, you're making it happen, right? You have that goal. You have that dream job. You're going to chase it. You're not taking a back seat. You're chasing it front and center.
Let me go send those cold emails now. I need to go do that.
All right. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you.
Major decision, 14 to